Yeah, I did change, and I'm really glad I changed.
This one's wife. Your husband is cheating. How does it feel? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Cheating. Infidelity. There are various forms of infidelity. Physical, sexual, emotional, financial, intellectual. The one that most people get their panties in a bunch about relates to the physical or sexual. Although, viewed logically, I often find that rather strange. After all, what realistically is worse? Your partner pops off and engages in knocking the hip out of a prostitute who doesn't even know her name, does his business, comes home. Or your husband spends time with another woman, enjoys her company, talks about his hopes, his fears, talks about things with her that he doesn't talk about with you. Which do you think's worse? To my mind, logically, the latter example is, but it is invariably the former that results in people getting very upset and getting their panties in a bunch, as I mentioned. Infidelity, of course, can be committed by anybody. Across the 4 groupings that I use to help people understand more about narcissism, empaths, normals, narcissistic people and narcissists can all engage in infidelity for a variety of different reasons. With the narcissists, it is driven, of course, by the pursuit of the prime aims, a sense of entitlement to do what the narcissist wants, an absence of emotional empathy for those affected by the infidelity, the necessity of using physical infidelity, for example, as a means to control. After all, sex is a weapon of mass seduction. It enables the drawing of fuel, access to residual benefits. And when, in the dynamic between the narcissist and the intimate partner primary source, that intimate partner primary source enters the sustained devaluation, the narcissist is free to basically shag who they please. Sometimes it's just done by virtue of pursuing the prime aims. In other instances, it's the precursor for that individual replacing the incumbent IPPS. What about the dynamic that takes place in relation to Prince Harry and this one's wife? Well, she, as a somatic narcissist, very much used sex to ensnare old ginger bollocks. Often people scratch their heads and think to themselves, what on earth did Harry see in her at the outset? Well, quite simply, she portrayed something she was not, i.e., a caring, compassionate, interesting individual who shared many interests of Harry. This is the standard modus operandi for many narcissists, to make themselves look like they're interested in you. They mirror you so that your interests become their interests. Your dislikes are also disliked by them. She would have appeared to be supportive with regard to some of his concerns and vulnerabilities, of which he has many. And most of all, she'll have provided him with lashings of spicy poontang, which, of course, for the randy ginger bollocked bugger that is Harry, that will have proven most appealing. It might not necessarily be the case that she is the most proficient in the sack, but I suspect that she is pretty decent, given that she has had a lot of practice. Somatic narcissists invariably do. But also the fact that she will have ensured that he will have got it whenever he'd wanted it, and that would have appealed to somebody such as Harry. Is it the case that she's been unfaithful? Is it the case that he has been unfaithful? Well, there is potential for either of these individuals, or both, to have engaged in infidelity. But the title of this video states, "Your husband is cheating, how does it feel?" Who is this referring to? Well, it's not actually about Harry dipping his wick elsewhere, but an historic instance which is worth analysis now, in relation to the interaction between this one's wife and Catherine, Princess of Wales. You will be familiar that from time to time the suggestion is made that an affair took place between William and Rose Hanbury. There's no actual evidence to support that this was the case, and indeed Rose Hanbury has been moved to litigate in that regard. It's been explained that Giles Corran, the newspaper columnist, explained that he tweeted about it as a joke and it got out of hand. Nevertheless, Tom Bauer, in an interview a little while ago, made the point following his investigative work that it was alleged that this one's wife learned of this supposed affair and then said to Catherine, "Your husband's cheating, how does it feel?" Or, "How does it feel to be cuckolded?" as Bauer described it, although I doubt that this one's wife would have necessarily used that particular phraseology. This inquiry caused William to be incandescent with anger as a consequence of saying this to Catherine, and also, of course, making such suggestion that he would be unfaithful with regard to his wife. Now, of course, as a normal, there is plenty of potential for William to commit infidelity. External stressors could well reduce his emotional empathy for his wife, resulting in the narcissistic trait of infidelity becoming accentuated so that he would cheat. Plenty of normal people do cheat. However, there is no evidence that William has cheated, and instead, what we've witnessed here is a provocation that has been utilised by this one's wife. Bowyer described the incident as one of whereby this one's wife appeared to be exhibiting concern for Catherine in relation to the suggestion that her husband had cheated. But we all know that as a narcissist, this one's wife only cares about herself. And in actual fact, what was happening was that there was a provocation issued by this one's wife, utilising a piece of gossip information for the purposes of suggesting to Catherine, of whom she is hugely envious, "Your marriage isn't that good, is it?" Naturally, this one's wife, in the way that she behaves, would want to exhibit that she was showing some form of compassion for Catherine by suggesting that she was concerned about her and how she might feel about the fact that her husband was cheating, whereas in actual fact, she was looking to needle Catherine. She was raising this rumour and doing so in order to provoke a reaction in Catherine for the purposes of controlling her and drawing fuel from her. It would delight this one's wife because she's envious of Catherine, who she is, the position that she's got herself into, the popularity that she enjoys, her elegance, her style, and any opportunity that presents itself for her to smear her or to attack her directly will be utilised by this one's wife. She cannot stand the fact that Catherine is perceived, and indeed is, viewed, and indeed is, better than she is. Accordingly, she makes this suggestion of your husband's having an affair, stating it as if it's a fact. Doing so under the auspices of, "Are you all right, my dear?" when in actual fact, she's revelling in suggesting that their marriage is not idyllic, revelling in the suggestion that William would stray, because of course this one's wife would want him to stray with her, because she views him as the one that got away. We've seen the various instances of her making eyes at William, staring at him, because remember, in the world of this one's wife, there are no boundaries. The fact that she's married to Harry and William's married to Catherine is irrelevant. If she wants somebody, it should happen. Furthermore, of course, with William being an heir to the throne, this one's wife believed that he should want her, because then she would be queen. Furthermore, in the deluded mind of this one's wife, she, as I've pointed out on many occasions, thinks every man wants to knock her hip out, and that would also include William. Accordingly, the fact that he has not responded to her overtures frustrates her. And therefore, in order to smear him by suggesting that he isn't the good husband that he is portrayed as, and of course to upset and provoke Catherine, it suits her purposes to suggest your husband's having an affair, so how does this make you feel? Tom Bowyer seems convinced that this occurred, and he's never been sued in relation to the allegations that he's made in relation to this Swan's wife. We also know that he's a detailed investigator of the facts. It's also the case that a narcissist such as this Swan's wife would very much utilise a piece of gossip, possibly a piece of gossip that she started herself. But let us assume that it was put out there by Giles Corran and nobody else. A narcissist such as this one's wife would very much take that information, use it, and utilise it as a provocation. She has no emotional empathy, so she wouldn't think to herself, oh, I better not say this to Catherine, it would be upsetting for her. Instead, her narcissism essentially states, use it. Make yourself appear like you're concerned. But what you are actually aiming is to demonstrate that William isn't the wonderful man that he is, that you don't have a wonderful marriage, and in fact, you're not all that, Catherine, because your husband is pounding the Punani pavement elsewhere. Thus, it's entirely conceivable that this one's wife would behave this way. It is driven by her narcissism, and as ever is designed to enable her to get to the prime aims. The disgusting suggestion, where there's no evidence to support it, is utilised by the narcissist. She shows no discretion. She shows no consideration as to the feelings of those affected by it or as to the veracity of the information. She seizes on it, and like the cackling witch that she's known for, she reveals this to Catherine in order to upset her, drinking in the fuel generated by her response, be it upset, anger, indignation, denial, whatever it might be, again as part of controlling her and smearing William. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.